How's it going, folks? So, Jinx and I have been having a conversation on the CDC's prohibition on commonly prescribed pain medicines to patients that suffer from chronic pain. Now, as the discussion goes on, I notice more and more parallels between what the CDC is doing to doctors and patients of chronic pain that they're doing against us in the pro 2A side of things. And for my fellow gun rights advocates, you're going to see a lot of similarities. You're going to see a lot of parallels here. I mean, as I go on in the video, one of the justifications the CDC uses, in fact, it's the justification, is that there's a public health crisis. We have an opioid epidemic. Well, I mean, we recognize that from gun violence epidemic. In both cases, the CDC is framing this as that our liberties need to be curtailed to fight this. You notice how they never, ever, ever say, hey, you know what, we went too far and maybe liberty is a better answer for this. Freedom is a better answer for this. You'll never hear them say that. One of the other things they do, they focus solely on the overdoses and ignore all the benefits that chronic pain patients have had from opiates that have been prescribed by their doctor. You notice how they do this with our legal ability to own firearms as well. The other thing, they never seem to want to make a distinction between whether or not the overdose occurred because somebody was using a legally prescribed opiate versus an illegally obtained opiate. And you notice they never do this with firearms either. That if firearms been misused or used in a crime, they never want to distinguish whether or not the firearm was obtained lawfully or unlawfully. So you have that parallel. So right there we see the dishonest use of the numbers. And this is not all. The fact of the matter is that how many times have we heard, well, why do you really need that gun? Or why do you really need the ability to carry there or carry in public in general? Hell, I remember when shall issue CCWs at the state level was a national debate. The gun controllers and many of them, and some of them being in the CDC, said our streets were going to run red with blood. There'd be apocalyptic gun battles everywhere, and that never really happened. Just like now that they've prohibited people from lawfully being able to be prescribed opiates, how many overdoses has that really stopped? Yet I guarantee you, if there's actually a push that might actually get through to remove these prohibitions on prescribing opioids, some of these same people will be saying, oh, we'll have people overdosing left and right without evidence. Back on the need. I mean, have you ever heard of a more authoritarian state of mind to have? I mean, think of it. If we're solely allowed to do things only if we need to, how free of a society is this? It's a funny thing. I was having a discussion, and I use the term discussion loosely with some Australians online yesterday. One of the things I said was, well, hey, I can carry one of these on me pretty well easily here in my home state. And now, again, for the longest time, I had to jump through some hoops to get a permit to do so. And I'm still going to continue to get the license to carry because there are other benefits to having the license to carry. But now if I don't want to have to get a license to carry, I can do it without a license to carry. But even with the license to carry, there was still a path to do so if I chose to do so. Not a one of them said, hey, yeah, you're right. That is a freedom you get that we don't, and while maybe, yeah, we don't like that freedom and maybe perhaps we wouldn't exercise that freedom, maybe somebody in our country does wish to exercise that freedom and maybe we should have some respect for it. Not a one of them said that. And of course, this is the very same country where these things are illegal. Yeah, these things got banned under, I think, their 96, 97 gun law. I mean, while here in the U.S., I don't need a license for one of these. These things aren't banned here in Texas. I can order one online and have it sent directly to my home, like I did with this one 4 years ago. Now, granted, I've only shot it like once or twice over a few beers, but, still, you know, I don't need to justify to anybody that I need it before I went and bought it. I can buy it just simply because I want it. That's freedom. Not freedom is having to be able to justify why you would need it. And this is the whole problem with our prohibition on drugs to begin with. Yeah. Maybe somebody doesn't need opiates. Maybe somebody doesn't need a little bit of marijuana. But you know what? What business is it of mine or yours if, say, somebody on a Friday night after a work week decides they want to smoke a joint before they go to bed or take a hit of, say, heroin? I wouldn't choose to do it, but you know what? Who am I to tell somebody else they can't do it? Likewise, who are they to tell me I can't own my firearms or whatever firearm I want to own? It's a really anti-freedom mentality. And besides, you're never going to convince these "why do you need that" people of the actual need. It's like the Australians. Hey, I don't know that I'll ever have to pull this on somebody in the future in self-defense, but I don't know that I won't have to either. And that's ditto for your situation. You don't know that you'll ever need a firearm for personal protection, but then again, you don't know that you won't ever need one either. While you may choose, well, Australia, you don't get a choice, but here in the U.S., while in most states you could choose whether or not you carry one, other people are free to choose whether or not they carry one too. And it shouldn't be on somebody else to, say, well, hey, you don't get to carry one because I said so. That, choice should be left up to the individual. Just the same as somebody who chooses to, say, have a bit of opiates, to treat their pain, or even recreationally. And this is another argument, a claim that the people who are against opiates for prescription medications have made. Is that, the people who have it or people who get it, well, opiates tend to cause a little bit of euphoria. So what? They have a little bit of pleasure with that pain medication they got. You act like that's a bad thing. I mean, it's like the gun controllers saying, oh, well, the only reason why people would get rifles like this is so they can go and play soldier. Well, you know what? If that's what they want to do on the range, is get an AR-15 so they can feel like a soldier shooting on the range, who cares? What business is it of the gun controllers? I mean, hell, next, they're going to sit there and say, well, the only reason why you have this gun is because a lot of people in the 80s action movies had them, and That's all you're trying to do is just LARP as an 80s action hero. Well, you know what? Even if that was the case, what business is it of yours? I swear it's like the gun controllers, for those of us in the 2A debate for, a while. Remember when that whole debacle came out where the gun controllers were getting butthurt about the zombie targets and the zombie ammunition? Oh, hell, somebody's having a little too much fun at the range. We have to stop that. And this is, one of the things it basically boils down to, is these people just do not like freedom. And this is why I think those of us on the pro-freedom side, we really do need to be teaming up a lot more and watching each other's backs. So, thank you all for watching. Y'all take it easy out there and have a great day.